UFC, we need to talk. Oh fuck, I was gonna try to do this serious, but nah, seriously, we gotta talk about some things. Now, as we head into the year of 2025, Uncle Dana, Uncle Fester, I'm gonna need some things done right. 2025 as a year for the UFC has potential to honestly be one of the best years ever, but I'm not confident that the UFC is going to do the right things to make sure that happens. I think they're going to fumble it. Now, why do I not have faith in the UFC to deliver this year? I think most people will realize and see it's pretty self-explanatory, but the reason why is that in 2024 the UFC just didn't deliver on promises. Okay, the fights that should have been made weren't made. I mean, think about it. John and Aspinall is clearly the biggest situation and the biggest case of this. Events were overhyped. Don't get me wrong, UFC 300 was great, it was amazing, okay? But let's be honest, if Alex Pereira didn't come in to save the day, that event was completely fucked. Also, the Sphere, don't even get me started on that, okay? That was the second most hyped event of the year. Top 5 most hyped events all time. Think about the lead though. Think about all the stuff Dana White was saying about the Sphere. And then what did we get? 20 million worth of fucking decorations and props and fucking theatre antics, which were like cool, but you know, wasn't that cool. And then we just got a bunch of unknowns on the card. Don't get me wrong, the event turned out to be pretty good aside from the final 2 fights. Shevchenko and Grasso was shit, and I personally hate Marab, so that was terrible for me. But come on, the most popular name on the entire prelims was Raul Rosas, and then aside from that, you had what, Daniel Zellhuber? Like, we had a guy on the main card who was 1-0 in the UFC. We had a guy on the main card who was 2-4 in the UFC. So in 2024, the UFC really let us down in the big moments and the big occasions. And as we enter into 2025, there's been some noise and some talk about Dana planning this big event that no one's going to see coming. Watch it be a letdown. Watch it be something to do with Power Slap, trading cards, Dana linking up with an OnlyFans model. Okay, it ain't gonna be that good. Or they're gonna go to like fucking, I don't know, somewhere they've not been, which no one gives a fuck about, respectfully. You know what I mean? It's just, trust me, it'll be a letdown, most likely. Okay, sorry to be so pessimistic, but it'll probably be a letdown. Now, how do we make sure 2025 is a good year? Okay, if you put Persona MMA as the owner of the UFC, what would I do to make this year as good as it possibly can be? Well, let's just look at the biggest storyline in the UFC right now: John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. It has to happen, okay? And this is a wider issue, but we need to start making champions fight their top contenders again, okay? Think about it. As much as I love Alex Pereira, he should be fighting Magomed Ankalaev and no one else, okay? Think about how Umar and Marab almost didn't happen until fucking Dana forced Marab to take the fight and tried claiming that Marab asked for it, even though, you know, Marab is, you know, because he's a smooth brain, has ruined that narrative for himself. But think about it, okay? We need to get champions fighting their top contenders again. If people deserve a title shot, they should be getting it. And honestly, general matchmaking just needs to be fixed. Why the fuck is Manel catfighting Brandon Royval? Why is that happening? Like, the UFC needs to fix their matchmaking. Now, matchmaking honestly has been horrible. We need the fights like John and Aspinall. Who knows if, you know, Alex gets past Magomed, we can have a really big fight for like November. The winner of John and Tom versus Alex Pereira. That's the biggest storyline you can make in the UFC right now. But I think Dana's gonna fumble it. I think he'll fumble it, honestly. Also, we have to start building prospects organically again. We've got loads of young contenders coming up. The main one right now is Peyton Talbot. But think about the Bo Nickel experiment that went on the entirety of 2024 and 2023. This is how you don't build a prospect. You don't shove a prospect down someone's throat. It has to be done organically. And Peyton Talbot, I'm going to tell you this, as he starts to rise, people are going to start disliking him more and more and more. Because once the UFC PR machine gets behind him, he's going to become fake. Not him, but the UFC are going to push him so much. People ain't going to like it. Their gag reflex is going to kick in, okay? Now, the last thing that I want to talk about in this video is the UFC's Achilles heel. Their poison. Okay, the thorn in their side that they've put there and they don't even realize they've put it there. The UFC Apex. This is the cancer of the UFC. It is a cancer that is growing. It is getting worse. It's going on to the fans, and we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. I don't know how, but we will. But the UFC Apex is the cancer of the UFC. Okay. Being in a crowd can take a bummy fight night to an okay fight night. It can take an okay fight night to a great fight night, and a great fight night to a fucking amazing fight night. Okay? But no, we're gonna put fucking Manel Cap in the Apex again. You know, the most hyped flyweight in the world right now. The UFC Apex is the plague that the UFC has, and it's promoted a comfortability in the UFC where they're not putting on good cards every week, okay? This isn't just about missing out on the fans and making the general environment and atmosphere more dead. No, this makes the UFC more comfortable. You think the UFC would get away with having Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Ribas 2 in a crowded arena? Do you think that? No. That would not happen. But guess what? Because the UFC Apex exists, the UFC can put on a shit fight like that and completely get away with it, okay? We need the Apex gone. We need the fights that need to be made to get made. And we need prospects to be built organically instead of shoving them down people's throat, okay? Fucking consent is consent. Consent is needed. Anyway, that's my rant on how the UFC can really fix itself in 2025. I don't have faith, but we can pray.